First ever £50,000 Champion Hurdle, sponsored again by Waterford Crystal, a large and competitive field, the runners and riders for which are named now by Peter O'Sullivan.
Number 1 is Another Story, written by Tom Morgan. 2, Broadsword, Peter Scudamore. 3, Daring Run, Mr. Ted Walsh. 14, Daring Rose, John Frankham. 5, Donegal Prince, Steve Knight. 6, Ekbalko, David Goulding. 7, for auction, Mr. Colin Magnier. 8, Gay Chance, John Joe O'Neill. 9, Halin, Steve Jobar. 10, Hillmore Star, Martin O'Halloran. 11, Home Son, Bob Champion. 12, Migrator, Paul Barton. 14, Pollardstown, who's blinkered, ridden by Philip Blacker. And 15, Potato Merchant, ridden by Frank Berry.
Well, all through the winter, this has looked the most exceptionally open Champion Hurdle, particularly with sea pigeon under a cloud. And for most of the time, Daring Run has been Antipo's favourite, and he emphasised that status when he won the recent Leopardstown Champion Hurdle.
And here comes Daring Run on the outside as they come now to the final flight. Daring Run on the near side and Hanser on the far side. And over that one, and it's Daring Run in front. And as they race down to the finish, there he goes! It's Daring Run, leaving his last running so far behind. The crowd rising to him as Ted Walsh has a look over his shoulder. He sees an Hanser in second.
Daring Run there by 6 lengths, and he was conceding £16 to the third horse, Desi Hughes runner, Another Story. Well, on the same day at Newbury...
To Sea Pigeon and Pollardstown, then they went to Liverpool, and he certainly reversed form with Pollardstown there. But as I say, my spies tell me that, surprisingly, they're going to hold this one up today. You would expect, because he stays so well, that he'd be bang up there, almost forcing the pace, but we shall see anyway. Peter McCreary, this is his only runner of the meeting, but he's booked himself in to his hotel for the whole 3 days in anticipation of celebrating for the next 2 of them. So that's Daring Run, and third in the race last year. We have some betting for you.
Daring Run still favourite, 9-4. And Broadsword, 3-1. Ekbalko, 7-2. Bit of a gap then to Halen, 10-1. Gay Chance, 16-1. Daring Rose, 20-1. 25-1, bar 6.
Now we see Ekbalko, number 6, trained by Roger Fisher, ridden by David Goulding, and this one has been the object of a lot of speculative talk, both in the racecourse bars and in the press. All season, people have been expecting David Goulding to be jocked off in favour of one of the other leading jockeys, but Roger Fisher has stuck with him, and I'm glad he has, because David Goulding gets on with this horse tremendously well. A lot of non-riding people don't realise quite the difference in the occasional horse that needs to be held up. Bula had to be held up. Paul Kellaway used to drop him right out at the back of the field and come with a late run. This is another of them. He's by Deep Run, the same stallion that's responsible for Daring Run, and Ekbalko put up a tremendous performance in the sweeps, in fact getting his head in front of Donegal Prince on the run-in, just to fade in the last stride and be beaten a short head. He's a lovely horse, Ekbalko, but don't expect to see him on the scene until very, very late. There's the trainer on the right of the picture, hatless, with the grey overcoat on. We don't often see Roger Fisher. He doesn't come down south with most of his runners. He usually sends Dudley Moffat, his assistant trainer, who's doing the girths on the near side of the horse. He's 7-2, third favourite Ekbalko, and a worthy one at that. And Daring Rose, now this is Fred Winter's representative. He was also the 3-mile race, and they decided to go for this. The owners want him to go for this. He's a full horse, and it would considerably enhance his stallion prospects if he were to win this. Well, he's been hunting this season in an effort to sweeten him up. He's 20-1, and if he puts his best foot forward, well, certainly there are few with as scintillating a turn of foot as this one. He won at the festival meeting last year by no less than 30 lengths. That was in a staying race, and he quickened from the last to simply whiz up the hill. Daring Rose has been hunting to sweeten him up with Derek Ricketts, the show jumper. He did actually back into a canal on one occasion. He's quite a funny horse and has moods of his own, but he's certainly looking sweet. And I did hear that last night John Frankham went to the Five Bells at Wickham and borrowed their hunting horn. Whether he or one of his allies is going to blow this on the home turn, well, we'll have to wait and see. But if he's got it on his person, it's well hidden at the moment. Daring Rose, an amazing horse. I just hope that he is in the right mood today. Number 1 is Another Story, ridden by Tom Morgan. This one trained by Desi Hughes. This combination already with a winner in the pocket, in their pockets, and only 2 races gone so far. Another Story by Tamerlane, and this one, well, he was favourite for the Sweeps Hurdle, but didn't quite get there, and he's not really disappointed, although Desi Hughes, I know, was really thinking that he'd win. He was over at Newbury that day, was slightly disappointed with his run. But since then, he's been a very credible second to Enhancer, and his trainer is hopeful today. He's a 6-year-old, and like the rest of them, carrying 12 stone. Very valuable race this, £37,000, the winner's prize money before deductions for the jockey. But there in the spots, that is Gay Chance, number 8, ridden by John Joe O'Neill, the first time John Joe sat on this one, riding for Mercy Rymel, and a very handsome horse this, wins over all sorts of distances, courageous, goes in the ground, jumps well and stays. He's got a lot going for him, and Gay Chance, whose full brother will be running later at the meeting. He's a 16-to-1 shot, and those of you who have fancied him, well, you best ignore his run in the sweeps. And for this race, the parade is being led out there by the master of the North Cotswold, Roy Tacklow, and with him his kennel huntsman, Peter Baker. They'll lead them down to the course itself, and what a fine pair of figures they are. I think it adds a nice bit of colour, a bit of pageantry. Leading the parade, Another Story, Desi Hughes, who had his first winner here in the first race at the festival meeting as a trainer. That was Miller Hill, Tom Morgan in the saddle. Broadsword there, American bred. Then Daring Run, 3rd last year. Daring Rose by Daring Do, John Frankham in the saddle. Then Donegal Prince, the sweeps hero. Ekbalco after him, the light blue, and even lighter blue with a red cap for auction from Ireland. Michael Cunningham's. Then the spots of Gay Chance and John Joe. Then Steve Jobar, he's riding Halin, not without a chance at all. Then Holmore Star, being very busy, but still on his toes. And then the orange of Homeson and Bob Champion. Then the colours of Migrator, Sheikh Ali Abu Kamsin. Then Pollardstown, Philip Blacker. And finally, but not least, Potato Merchant. There's been a lot of good money for this one, even though he is an outsider. And Frank Berry riding him, former Irish champion jockey. Not very big, Potato Merchant. Needs to be held up, this one, right to the last moment. He's got a lot to do to carry 12 stone. He's only small, as you can see. So the runners being led out by the master of the North Cotswold Hunt, Roy Tacklow, comes from a great horsey family. Of course, his brother David, top of his tree, is a show man. Trained a lot of winners when he was training under rules. And these horses are the horses they actually use with the North Cotswold Hunt. They haven't got them in just for the moment. These real working horses. Daring Run is now 5-2 favourite from 9-4, 3-1 bar. So the runners parading for this race. I should think the jockeys all very excited because it's a race that they do really want to win. After the Gold Cup, this is the next most important race, the Waterford Crystal Champion Hurdle, £50,000 added. Tommy Morgan must be feeling thrilled with himself there, having ridden his first winner with Miller Hill. Behind him, Broadsword, and they're taking no chances, the Nicholson camp. They've got 3 people with the horse. On the outside in the hat is the head lad, Lynn, who's been getting a little nervous today. I spoke to him before racing. They've got a lot on their plate, but this is the winner they want. Broadsword in the colours of Lord Northampton. He's by Akak, the USA stallion out of Cutting, and he's won 3 of his 5 races so far this season. Broadsword, 3-1 second favourite at the last show. Following him, Daring Run. Well, this horse, in my opinion, is better in the spring. It's not very spring-like here today at Cheltenham. And Ted Walsh, who a few months ago thought that he wouldn't be riding this one. John Joe, of course, went over to Ireland to ride him. He's also been linked with John Frankham. But Ted Walsh, the amateur, back in the plate. 2 amateurs riding in this race. Colin Magna, the other one on for auction. Daring Rose looking happy and sweet. and being led up there by his lad Richard Cullen, who in fact is walking a bit lame there. You can see under the horse's leg, Richard not at all happy, whether the horse trod on his foot or whether he just wouldn't give up this outing for anything. Lads who do their horses really close to them, and they don't like to see them going to the races if they can't go with them. Daring Rose, well, the time to watch this one is when they pass the stands, because that's when he'll drop the bridle, and that's where John Franken was so brilliant here when beating Halin with him. He just sat down and really rode him for all he was worth without ever touching him with the stick. Following him, Donegal Prince in the yellow there. Donegal Prince, who trained by Paul Kellaway. Paul, who's looking quite portly in the paddock today. He's put on 1.5 stones in weight since he gave up smoking. Well, Donegal Prince provided him with the Sweps Gold Trophy at Newbury, ridden that day by John Frankham, today by Steve Knight. A dour stayer. He loves the ground as deep as possible, and he'll be trying. Although on the weight, strictly on the weights, this one can't win it. He can't be Dec Balco. We all know what happens when the weights are turned upside down. Donegal Prince, plenty of guts, stays forever, and you'll be seeing him in flat races, decent flat races, staying races this coming summer. But he's got an important engagement now. Followed by Ekbalco, number 6, David Goulding, who has shaken off all the criticism that's been levelled at him, really shrugged it off, and it doesn't worry him one bit. He knows what he's doing. He's confident that he does the right thing on this horse, and he certainly won't bow to pressure from the press or the other critics. So this, the Champion Hurdle, won last year by Sea Pigeon, who sadly is no longer with us, but I'm sure that the right decision was made to retire him. He looked particularly well when I saw him a week ago. So the runners coming down to meet us, but poor Sea Pigeon, well, I say poor Sea Pigeon, if he's not right then it's nice for him to be retired, but his handler Monica Jones, of course, upset that they're not here to be defending their title. So as Daring Run, Broadsword and the rest of them come down, we have a full show of betting for you, followed by a result.
Daring Run 9-4, Broadsword 100-30, Ekbalco 7-2, Halin 10-1, Gay Chance is 12-1 from 16s, Daring Roses come in also from 20s to 16-1, Pollardstown 20s, Potato Merchant 25-1, Donegal Prince 33-1, Another Story for auction on Holmore Star 50-1, Home Sun 66-1, and Mike Greater 100-1.
Down at 20-1, there he is with the blinkers and the light cross belts. 20-1, he was second in this race last year, remember. He was 5th the year before. He's the winner of the Triumph Hurdle and has had a little bit of back trouble, but muscle trouble it was. Stan Miller's got him back and says he's fit to do his best. So if he is, 20-1 looks quite generous. Now, Philip Blacker there, the rider, very heavy man, Philip, and has to waste quite a lot, but he's feeling very elated at the moment because on Friday his wife Sue gave birth to their first son, Daniel, so he's in the right mood for the festival. Pollardstown 20-1 at the moment. He was beaten by Daring Run at Liverpool after beating that Irish horse here on the run-in last year's Champion Hurdle. Pollardstown, who I should think will be going over fences next season, he's been crying out for them for a while, but now that he's right and he looks particularly well, must go well with a good gallop. Number 9 there, Halin with the white sleeves, red cap. Well, this horse has been shouted as a Champion Hurdle horse for a long time and would be a very popular winner. Donegal Prince, 25s and 33s, but Halin, ridden there by Steve Jobar, who is by profession a saddler as well as being a jockey, and he's really come to the fore in the last couple of seasons, principally as a result of partnering this horse. But this fellow was outpointed by Daring Rose here last time out, but I wouldn't be too worried about that because he's a horse that needs to have things just right. He wants to come with a long, slow run, hit them as they go to the last. Another Story is 66s from 50s, that's Desi Hughes' runner. But Halin, if they go a good gallop and this one can come with a nice steady run, he could certainly be good enough to be there at the finish. It's a wide open race this, and most of the connections really fancy their horses. We have a further show of betting for you.
The top three are pretty much the same. Daring Run 9-4, Broadsword 100-30, Ekbalco is 7-2, Halin 11-1. It's just gone 10-1. Come in a point, Halin. 10-1 Halin. Gay Chance 12s, Daring Rose 16s, Pollardstown 20-1. On 25s, Donegal Prince, Potato Merchant 33 to 1, 50 to 1, Holmore Star, and For Auction. Another Story 66 to 1, Home Sun 80s, and Migrator in solitary seclusion there on 100 to 1 as the outsider.
Races this season, the last of them being the Imperial Cup last Saturday at Kempton Park. A very tough horse this, ridden by Martin O'Halloran, knows his horse so well, and trained by Susan Morris down in Somerset. And she's had 11 winners this season, 6 of them with this horse, and 5 of them with Mr. Moonraker. Well, he's been busy, but he looks certainly quite perky. I don't blame Susan Morris for running him in this race at all, taking his chance. Loves the heavy ground, but the jockey's pulling their goggles down, so over to Peter O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Richard. It's the 14 runners being called in, and they're away. And coming to the first flight, Daring Rose is the first ashore. John Frankham on Daring Rose from Donegal Prince and Migrator, with Homeson just in behind them, and then Pollard's Town. Daring Rose jumps there in the lead, but now a little between he and Donegal Prince, and Migrator between horses, and then Homeson, and behind them come Another Story and Pollard's Town, and then Gay Chance and For Auction and Holmore Star. Daring Run, one of the back markers at the moment, with Broadsword also, and it's Migrator now, Donegal Prince, Daring Rose, and behind him Pollard's Town and For Auction and Home Sun, and Another Story and Holmore Star, and Gay Chance and Potato Merchant, and Ekbalco and Daring Run, and Broadsword and Halin right over on the far side, and Donegal Prince lands over the second in the lead. From very close with him, Migrator, then For Auction and Daring Rose, and nearest to us is Home Sun, and over on the far side Pollard's Town with Gay Chance next, and then Holmore Star. And then Another Story and Halin and Potato Merchant and Broadsword and Daring Run and Ekbalco. Not going a great gallop at the moment in the Champion Hurdle, led by Donegal Prince, Migrator, Home Sun, Daring Rose, For Auction, Gay Chance, Pollard's Town, Another Story, Holmore Star, then Ekbalco, Halin, Daring Run, Pollard's Town, and the back marker Broadsword. Running downhill towards the next flight, Donegal Prince in the lead from Migrator in second. Daring Rose has lost his position and dropped right back to last now, and he's trying to pull up with John Frankham. John trying to keep him going, but he's pulled up. Daring Rose, the unpredictable, has pulled up and refused to jump that one. He's come to a full stop, and Donegal Prince is in the lead. From Homeson and Migrator and For Auction, and then Pollard's Town. Then on the outside, Holmore Star. Just in behind them, Another Story and Gay Chance, and then Daring Run, Ekbalco towards the outside, Potato Merchant, and the back marker is Broadsword as they jump the fourth. Donegal Prince landed in the lead from Migrator and Homeson and For Auction and Pollard's Town, then Another Story and Gay Chance, Ekbalco on the outside. Just in behind them come Daring Run, Potato Merchant, and Halin now just been relegated to last place as they race towards the top of the hill and towards the fifth flight of the 8 hurdles, and it's Donegal Prince in the lead from Migrator in second, then Homeson third with For Auction close. Behind him comes Pollard's Town, then Ekbalco on the outside, and then Gay Chance, and then Another Story. Then Potato Merchant and Broadsword improving, and Daring Run has gone on the flat there. Daring Run has slipped up on the flat there and has unshipped Ted Walsh, who's just up on his feet, but the favourite is out of it. Halin is tailed off. The public have just been told over the public address. There's a howl of anguish from the Irish supporters of Daring Run as they run down now towards the third last in the Champion Hurdle. Donegal Prince is in the lead, being pressed by Migrator. Then over on the far side, coming there strongly, is Ekbalco. Broadsword is improving his place. Holmore Star's well there over the third last. Donegal Prince from For Auction right in the battling line now. Then comes Gay Chance over on the far side. Then Ekbalco and Another Story. It's a very, very wide open race now as they come down towards the second last. For Auction being pressed by Broadsword, and then Ekbalco over on the far side, and then Gay Chance, but it's For Auction with the advantage from Broadsword going very strongly just in behind the leaders. Ekbalco right there with them, and then Holmore Star. They're coming down towards the final flight now, and it's For Auction being pressed by Ekbalco and Broadsword. Broadsword between horses. For Auction over on the far side. For Auction lands in the lead from Ekbalco and Broadsword. They're racing into the closing stages, and it's For Auction being pressed by Ekbalco and Broadsword. Broadsword, for auction for Ireland, from Balco and Broadsword as they race up towards the line. It's going to be another Irish triumph and a shock victory too. For auction wins the Champion Hurdle. Second is Broadsword, third Balco, four Pollardstown, five Gay Chance, and then came Holmore Star, and behind him Donegal Prince and another story, and Migrator and Potato Merchant, and then Halin, and Halin was the last to finish, and so the result of the Waterford Crystal Champion Hurdle, first number 7. For auction, owned by Mr. F.B. Heaslip, trained by Michael Cunningham and ridden by Mr. Colin Magnier. Second was number 2, Broadsword, owned by Lord Northampton, trained by David Nicholson and ridden by Peter Scudamore. And third was number 6, Balco, owned by Mr. Taufik Fakuri, trained by Roger Fisher, ridden by David Goulding. Fourth was number 14, Pollardstown. So a third successive triumph for the Irish. Congratulations there from John Joe O'Neill for the amateur, Mr. Colin Magnier, rider of this 6-year-old For auction, who has avenged his defeat by Donegal Prince and Balco in the Schweppes Go Trophy, in which he ran 4th. For auction by road trip out of wrong decision. And of course the turning point in the race, the shock exit, which didn't happen at a hurdle but on the flat at the top turn of Daring Run, which we can review now with Richard Pittman.
And this is something that every jockey hates. You can see Daring Run right on the inside there, the yellow cap, the light colours, and to go down on the flat happens very, very suddenly. There's nothing a rider can do about it, and it looks, there you are, he's either struck someone else's heels or his own, and he's taken his jockey Ted Walsh over his head. Well, that was a very unfortunate happening. But
3 out of 3. 7 lengths and 1.5 lengths. The verdict.
We have the celebrations for the third race, the Waterford Crystal Champion Hurdle Challenge Trophy. First, number 7 for auction at 40 to 1. Second, number 2.
40 to 1.
30.
The winner of this 37,043 pounds, 75p Waterford Crystal Champion Hurdle. And no fluke about this success at all. He really plugged up the hill in great style, this little horse. It didn't appear to go a blistering gallop, and David Goulding, we just saw there, a little bit closer to the pace than he usually is, with 3 flights left to jump. But Balco with every possible chance. Only 9 favourites have won the Waterford Crystal Champion in the last 26 years now. And so the starting prices as follows.
First, number 7 for auction, 40 to 1. Second, number 2, Broadsword, 100 to 30. Third, number 6.